Sean Combs's accuser revises lawsuit, removes Beyonce and Jay-Z as witnesses. A man who has accused Sean Diddy Combs of misconduct has updated his legal complaint against the prominent music mogul, notably removing Beyonce and Jay-Z as witnesses. This development marks a significant shift in the ongoing legal battle, which has drawn widespread attention due to Combs' stature in the entertainment industry and the high-profile names initially linked to the case. On Friday, April 11th, Joseph Manzaro filed an amended lawsuit in a Florida court, refining his claims against Combs, who is 55 years old. The revised filing no longer mentions Beyonce or her husband Sean Carter, known professionally as Jay-Z, as individuals who witnessed the alleged events. This change comes amid a broader legal saga that has placed Combs under intense scrutiny, both in civil lawsuits and in a separate criminal case. In his original complaint, Manzaro alleged that he was subjected to mistreatment during an event in 2015, which he described as a birthday celebration for Combs' son, King Combs, held on Star Island in Miami. According to Manzaro, he was brought to the location under deceptive circumstances and coerced into participating in a humiliating activity referred to as a closed gathering. He claimed that he was forced to wear a pig mask and parade around the event, an experience he described as degrading. Initially, Manzaro listed Beyonce and Jay-Z among the attendees, suggesting they were present during the incident. The decision to remove the Carters from the lawsuit followed evidence presented by their legal team. As reported by Page 6, which first broke the news of the amendment, attorneys for Beyonce and Jay-Z provided documentation showing that the couple was not in Miami at the time of the alleged 2015 event. Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, had previously issued a statement to Us Weekly, firmly denying any involvement by his client. Mr. Carter was not in Florida during that period and could not have witnessed this event, Spiro stated. He was engaged in well-documented public activities elsewhere, which clearly demonstrate he was not at this gathering. These claims are baseless and undermine confidence in our legal system. Manzaro's original filing painted a vivid picture of the alleged incident, claiming he was escorted through a discreet entrance at a property owned by Emilio and Gloria Estefan, then led through a passageway to a nearby residence associated with Combs. He alleged that he was compelled to wear a restrictive head covering and minimal clothing, including a small garment and a leather mask, as part of the ordeal. Manzaro further claimed that he was pressured into participating in unwanted interactions, which he described as deeply distressing. The Estefans, whose property was mentioned in the lawsuit, quickly distanced themselves from the allegations through a spokesperson. The house in question was not a primary residence for Gloria and Emilio, but rather a property used for family purposes. The spokesperson clarified, "No events or gatherings took place there between 2012 and 2019. We have documentation to substantiate this, and will share it with the court as needed." This statement aimed to clarify that the Estefans had no knowledge of or involvement in the alleged activities. Combs's legal team has vehemently rejected Manzaro's claims, characterizing them as an attempt to generate publicity and financial gain. In a statement to TMZ, they described the lawsuit as an example of the extreme measures some individuals will take to attract attention and secure a payout. They added, "No reasonable person could take these allegations seriously." Mr. Combs is eager to address these accusations in court, where the falsehoods and the motives behind them will be exposed. The civil lawsuit is just one facet of Combs's current legal challenges. In September 2024, he was indicted on federal charges, including allegations of orchestrating unlawful activities engaging in organized schemes, and facilitating travel for questionable purposes. These accusations, which Combs has consistently denied, have led to his detention as he awaits a court appearance scheduled for May 5th. The criminal case has amplified the public's focus on Combs, a figure whose influence spans music, fashion, and business through ventures like Bad Boy Entertainment and partnerships with brands like Ciroc. The amendment to Manzaro's lawsuit reflects a strategic recalibration, likely prompted by the lack of evidence placing Beyoncé and Jay-Z at the scene. The Carters, both global superstars, have maintained a low profile regarding the case, allowing their legal representatives to address the matter. Spiro's statement underscored the importance of factual accuracy, framing the initial inclusion of his clients as a misstep that risked tarnishing their reputations. Sean Combs' private party videos, set to potentially steal the spotlight in courtroom showdown. The upcoming trial of Sean Diddy Combs, a heavyweight in the music world, is shaping up to be a blockbuster, with whispers that videos from his exclusive shindigs might be rolled out for the jury to see. Slated to kick off next month, this case is already a hot topic, shining a spotlight on allegations that have trailed the 55-year-old mogul for years, keeping both fans and skeptics glued to the drama. Combs, who's been a rapper-producer and the mastermind behind Bad Boy Entertainment for decades, got nabbed in September 2024 after a deep-dive probe into some shady dealings. He's cooling his heels at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, gearing up for a legal brawl that's got the world buzzing. The buzz is all about these private bashes, dubbed highly personal gatherings in the press, that have been the stuff of industry gossip forever. Now, they're front and center in court, with evidence hinting they were caught on tape. Word broke earlier this year that raids on Combs' swanky pads in Los Angeles and Miami turned up some juicy finds. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams spilled that federal agents snagged devices packed with photos and videos of these parties, which supposedly went down with a bunch of folks over long stretches. Court papers paint these events as meticulously planned, far from your average get-together, sparking all sorts of questions about what went on and who was calling the shots. With the trial looming, Combs' legal crew is pulling out all the stops for what's bound to be a fiery face-off. Earlier this week, they dropped a hefty questionnaire to size up potential jurors, a big move to lock in a fair shot at justice. This thing's got 70 questions, some with extra bits, digging into how jurors feel about touchy subjects. One question checks if they're cool with watching intense videos that might show heated personal clashes, per sources like the Associated Press. Another pokes at what they think of folks juggling multiple romantic partners. It's a clue the defense is bracing for how jurors might view Combs' lifestyle, hunting for any biases that could tip the scales. Prosecutors, though, aren't thrilled with this quiz, griping that it's too long and tangled, potentially throwing jurors for a loop. They fired off a letter to the court, warning it could gum up the works and push back the trial's start. This tug-of-war between the two sides shows just how high the stakes are, with both camps plotting to steer the story that'll play out in court. The trial's set to get rolling next month with key dates locked in. Jury selection kicks off May 5th, and you can bet the media will be all over it given how big this case is. Opening arguments are slated for May 12th, launching what could be a weeks-long showdown. Everyone's on edge waiting to see what evidence, especially those rumored videos, will come to light. Combs is staring down some heavy charges, like running illegal operations and being tangled in organized schemes. A fresh indictment just upped the ante, tossing in 1 count of plotting coordinated misconduct, 2 counts of nudging people into unwanted acts through slick talk or pressure, and 2 counts of arranging trips tied to shady activities. Each one's a big deal, but Combs is pushing back hard, saying it's all a big mix-up about consensual hookups with exes. The case really took off last year when the feds turned up the heat. Those September 2024 raids on his LA and Miami digs were a game changer, digging up what prosecutors call solid proof. Williams didn't hold back, saying the seized gadgets were loaded with records of these parties, spanning tons of events with lots of players. He hinted they're key to the alleged illegal stuff. The idea that these tapes might go public has everyone talking. Back in January 2025, word got out that Combs asked for a peek at the videos, betting they'd back his claim he's in the clear. His lawyers say the full recordings would show things in a way that flips the prosecution's story. This move's got people debating whether the tapes will hit the open air. Some think they could change how folks see the case, while others warn their sensitive vibe might make using them tricky. The public split right down the middle. Combs, the guy behind bangers like I'll Be Missing You and the mentor to legends like Biggie, has been a giant in music and style forever. His Sean John line and Key Rock deal made him a business kingpin too. But these legal woes are casting a dark cloud, sparking chats about who holds the power in the industry and whether big shots ever face the music. In court last month, Combs turned heads with his gray hair, a look that had folks online guessing about the stress he's under. He stayed cool, though, even with the charges piling up, including claims tied to 4 named witnesses, one being his ex, Cassie Ventura. She's a singer and actress who's ready to testify as herself, a bold move that shows she's not ducking the spotlight. The other witnesses? They're staying under wraps with fake names to dodge the media frenzy, and prosecutors are fighting to keep it that way. The charges get into some murky stuff. Prosecutors say these parties, some stretching days, involve personal activities that cross lines. They claim Combs leaned on people to join in, sometimes with smooth talk or arm twisting. One charge zeroes in on someone called Victim 2, who was allegedly pushed into stuff they didn't want under tough circumstances. Another says Combs set up travel to pull people into questionable scenes, something his team calls a stretch. Combs' lawyers aren't holding back, blasting prosecutors for going too far. In a recent filing, they accuse them of muddying the waters by dragging in side witnesses who could sway the jury the wrong way. They want the court to block anyone talking about Combs' past that's not tied to the 4 main witnesses. They're also ticked about timing. Prosecutors won't spill their full witness list till April 18th, right before jury picks in Manhattan's federal court. That's too tight, they say, to prep a proper defense, especially with claims pointing to tons of unnamed folks and supposed partners worldwide. Some of these people aren't even around anymore, making it a nightmare to check their stories. The defense figures digging into all this could take months, maybe years, and letting it in would turn the trial into a messy string of side quests, blowing past the 3 weeks prosecutors first pegged. Their filings lay out a clear game plan. Keep it tight. They say letting a crowd of witnesses dish on uncharged stuff would make the trial a circus, doubling its runtime. They're not mincing words, accusing the feds of trying to junk up the case with spicy tales that paint Combs as the bad guy from the jump. Prosecutors aren't backing down, saying extra witnesses are key to showing what Combs was aiming for. They argue these stories about past moves, called non-statutory evidence, prove a pattern that fits the charges. They've got the law on their side, they say, especially for cases about pressure or organized schemes. This fight over what gets in is heating up as May 5th closes in. Last week's beefed-up indictment raised the stakes, slapping on 2 more charges. Now it's not just conspiracy and pressure, but also claims of setting up travel for dodgy reasons. The wording's tight, but the defense calls it hyped-up noise, saying it's just old relationships being twisted. Combs, they swear, is getting a raw deal, with exes now framed as victims in a story cooked up after the fact. Cassie Ventura's role as a named witness is turning heads, given her decade plus with Combs. Their romance was tabloid gold, full of music collabs and big moments. Her choice to testify openly, no alias, says she's ready to face the heat, though it puts her in the public eye. The other witnesses, kept under pseudonyms, will back her up, and prosecutors stress their secrecies about safety, not shaky proof. Outside court, Combs is drowning in civil lawsuits from New York to California, Nevada to Florida. These folks, claiming they're victims, say he pulled fast ones, from pressure to using his clout to hush them up. These cases aren't part of the criminal trial, but feed the bigger story, piling on the heat about how Combs rolled personally and professionally. As the trial nears, everyone's guessing about the videos. Will they play in full, just snippets, or get tossed? The defense is itching to challenge if they're even allowed, saying they need a close look to avoid spin. They've pushed for a pre-trial huddle to sort this out, arguing the prosecution's leaning on shaky ground. Right now, they wrote recently, there's no guarantee the feds have enough to make a jury buy every story. Combs, they say, is ready to prove some claims are straight up made up, brushing them off as tall tales with big agendas. The world's hooked on this saga. Social media's lit with takes, and news outlets are picking apart every move, from Combs' court vibe to the legal fine print. Whatever happens, this trial's set to shake things up. Not just for Combs, but for the whole entertainment scene, where talks about influence, consent, and who answers for what are only getting louder. For now, Manhattan's federal court is ground zero, where a jury's about to dive into one of the wildest cases in years.